Welcome to Southern Crime, where we discuss the cases that intrigue and mystify us. This channel discusses serious crimes and is meant for those 18 years and older. Listener discretion is advised. Please hit that like and subscribe and leave a comment for us below. We wish you all a very blessed, safe, and happy holiday season. Welcome back to Southern Crime. We are going to get into the Michigan school shooting at Oxford High School in Oakland County. That I believe includes Pontiac, Michigan, if I've been able to figure the maps out. What we know now at this point, the shooting happened not even 11 hours ago. So what we know now is still somewhat limited. We know that it was a 15-year-old student, a sophomore of the school. He was in school today, the day of the shooting. Um, what they have said is that the shooting happened in the south part of the school. His father purchased the gun, a Sig Sauer SP 2022 9mm, 4 days ago on November 26th. I guess it was a Black Friday special. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure that is part of the investigation. There were still 7 bullets in the gun, so potentially 7 more lives right there. I did not catch if he had more ammo on him besides that. I just know that there was 7 in the gun still. He has been transported to Children's Village in Pontiac, which is their holding facility for juveniles. He is on a suicide watch and is being checked constantly. Y'all, this is just so hard. So hard. We have the names of the students involved, or the students that lost their lives today. Okay, the names of the students who lost their lives was Tate MYRE, or I believe it's MYRE. He is a 16-year-old male. An officer picked him up and put him in his patrol car to transport him to the hospital very fast, and he did not make it. Hannah St. Julian was a 14-year-old student, and Madisyn Baldwin was a 17-year-old student. Their parents spoke a little bit about Madisyn. She was accepted to several colleges already, some with full scholarships. So not that any of the children are any different. I know that there was some students that said that they were teammates of Tate's. So he was an athlete, and Hannah was a 14-year-old baby who was probably a freshman based on that age. We also know more about the victims. The first is a 15-year-old male. He is in critical condition with a head injury. These are all gunshot wounds. The next one is a 14-year-old male. He is in serious condition with wounds to the jaw and head. 17-year-old female. She is in stable condition with a neck wound. A 15-year-old male is in stable condition with a left leg injury. A 17-year-old male is in stable condition with a hip injury. A 14-year-old female, she is in critical condition and on a ventilator. It sounds like it is grim for her. She has wounds to the chest and neck. And then a 17-year-old female, she is in critical condition with a chest injury. So we hear all the time hospitals say when we have these incidents that patients are critical, serious, stable, unstable. Stable is not a condition. The condition is critical, serious, good, and fair. But you always hear doctors or people say that somebody's stable or in guarded condition or something like that. It's because it's hard to use one word to describe somebody. So stable is most often used for patients that are actually in either good or fair condition. So good condition is that vital signs are stable and within normal limits, um, that's good. That's for good and fair. Vital signs are stable and within normal limits. Patient is conscious and comfortable. For fair, patient may be uncomfortable. For good, indicators are excellent that everything is going to be fine. For fair, indicators are favorable that everything is going to be fine because, things can change. Then we get into serious. Serious means vital signs may be unstable and not within normal limits. Patient is acutely ill. Indicators are questionable. That means that there could be, like when they say that the next 24 hours is very important, which they also say for critical, but it's serious means that you've got a much better chance of pulling out of it than you do critical, but somebody can go from being critical to serious or serious to critical very quickly in that time period. Critical means that vital signs are unstable and not within normal limits. Patient may be unconscious. Indicators are unfavorable, which means, things are really not looking good. So, but that doesn't mean that everything is not okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3 people that are in 3 children that are in currently in critical condition. One with a head injury, one with a chest and neck injury. That's the one that's on the ventilator, and then one with a chest injury. So what that means is that they are not stable. Their vital signs are not stable, and things are not looking great right now. It's very touch and go. Serious means that we've got a kind of a better. The vital signs that they look at are blood pressure, pulse, temperature, respiration. For head injuries, that's also going to be the pressure, intracranial pressure. So, the whole thing with the whole stable thing, I've always heard that, and that's just not. Anyway, neither here there nor there. So things are not looking great right there. Um, there were several other students that were injured. They were mostly treated at the scene and released or treated at MYRE, and released to their family. I've gotten indications from media watching different interviews that some parents transported their children to the hospital for their injuries. And it could have been sprained ankles and, things like that, needing stitches, stuff of that nature would be a pretty common type of injury when you have something like this happen, because students are very quickly being, getting under tables and doing all of that. And then they are very quickly escaping, and it snowed there today. You can see snow. So, slidey, slippy kind of weather there today anyway. I want to give a shout out to the MYRE grocery store because they heard what had happened there and very quickly shut down for the rest of the day and opened up their store to be the reunification center for parents. Reunification points are obviously very important, but they're usually planned in advance for per school, because you need a place that is close enough for children to be able to walk to. Okay, so here's the scenario. Middle of the day, school shooting. most schools that I know of do not have buses sitting there at the school, middle of the day. So you've got students that are going to be walking somewhere. It takes a while to get the bus there, so on and so forth. So your goal is to get children from the school or wherever the shooting is happening to the reunification center as fast as possible so that they are out of harm's way. Number one. Number two, the departments handling everything can cross them off of their mind and not think about them, only focus on the people that are still there. So that's the two parts of it. Next, you want a place that is easy to get in and out of for parents, for officials, et cetera, et cetera. So close enough to the school that the kids can walk to, easy to get in and out of and to find, but you also want it in a location where it is not going to mess up traffic around the place where the shooting was, so that officials, ambulances, etc., are able to get in and out very quickly. They do several sweeps through a school, and it's not unusual to find more people on the second, third, fourth sweep that are injured. So I give my hat is off to MYRE for doing that. That I just, I think that that's awesome. Not only that, you're going to have a bunch of kids there that have just experienced something horrible. And, that's a place where I would think if they were kind enough to do that, that they would also have, let them have water, let them have tissues, things like that. I just, my hat is off to them for doing that. That's just awesome. I am going to share this one video with you. You can see right there where they caught a screen grab from this one student's thing where an officer was standing in their classroom during the lockdown. The shooter kept trying to open our doors. Unbelievable. Prayers out to the families, kids that got hurt. Oh, part of school shooting training is that you teach kids and teachers, and you practice to not open doors to anybody unless they are positive it is law enforcement or first responders. It's almost always going to be law enforcement that's going in there, not EMS or fire. So one of the issue is with school shootings is that most of the time, well, when it's a student that's a shooter, that shooter has also been through the training. So that leads us into this video, which a student filmed while he was in the classroom.
Sheriff's office. Safe to come out.
Yeah, he said it's safe to come out.
Now, we're not willing to take that risk right now. I can't hear you. We're not taking that risk right now. Okay, well, come to the door and look at my bag, bro.
Yeah, bro.
He said bro.
He said bro. Red flag. Go.
Slow down, you're fine.
You're gonna go right up there. I want you to drop backpacks. We're okay. We're okay.
Yes. Sheriff's office. Safe to come out.
So, it's possible that was a legitimate sheriff's deputy. The kids said it was a red flag because he said bro. I would not be surprised to hear a deputy say bro. But what's important is that these kids said red flag, he said bro. So, I think that right there is an important lesson for officers that are responding to stuff like this, because it may have been the shooter. Like I said, there was reports that he was trying to get into classrooms during the shooting. But if it was in fact a deputy, language could be very important on whether you get to a child or don't get to children in the room. So, you know, that is just a great example of that. I am very proud of these kids. I am very proud of the school system for the amazing amount of work that they did in training for this, because it played off today. So at 12:51, the first 911 call comes in. Within the next couple minutes, there are more than 100 more phone calls that come in. And those phone calls are all important, because you have this person that is in this classroom, and this person that's in this classroom, and this person that's in this classroom, and this person that saw this from outside. And every single one of those calls, they can get information, they can help target where the shooter is, where there may be people that are injured, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So every one of those phone calls becomes important. If you see something, say something. Within 5 minutes of that first 911 call, he was in custody. Police officers, there's a deputy that's at the school all of the time. He and a deputy that had responded went walking down a hallway. They ran towards the gunfire. If you remember, we had the school shooting before where the resource officer would not go in the school. These people went towards the gunshots, which is the way it's supposed to be, and saw him with the gun. He put his hands up, is what they're saying. They took the gun from him and handcuffed him, took him into custody. So at this point, his name has not been released. I am hearing that it is available widely on social media. Even if it was, I would not be sharing it here because it has not been released. Now, if he is charged as an adult, the name will be released. I don't care what his name is. I just always want to know what the story is. What led to this? What made this happen? Because I'm not saying for a second that any one of these victims or any one of those children that just went through that in this school deserved any of this, because nobody deserves this at all. But, you know, the next thing that I always ask myself is, what happened to the child to make this happen? School shooters do not always have a reason that involves school to go in there and do it. But there's definitely going to be more. I mean, like I said, the gun was bought by his father November 26th. So there you go. Thank you so much for joining me. I will bring you more updates on this. Thank you all. Bye.